We're back with another edition of the Waiting for Next Year podcast. I'm your host, Josh Bloha, with, as usual, Joe Gilbert by my side. I guess we're here to talk about the Browns beating the Bengals in what was essentially a junior varsity game ahead of the varsity games at 4 o'clock and ahead of the varsity game also between the Ravens and Steelers. So, the Browns beat the Bengals in a game that was meaningless other than for draft, where they were drafting and part of who they would play next year in the schedule. They beat them. I don't even know what the score was, to be honest with you.
21-17.
Yeah, 21-16.
16.
So, yeah, we're here. I don't really want to be here because it's not a Browns offseason, and I hate being super negative about the Browns, but we're here. Joe, I hear myself in the background, by the way. I just heard myself. Joe, give me some of your thoughts. I don't want to be super negative, but I am. So here we are.
Yeah. Well, it's a disappointing place where we're at.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you before Craig or you yell at me. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and this podcast, as usual, is brought to you by the Evergreen Podcast Network. Go, Joe.
Yeah, it was kind of, this game was just like a walk to the offseason. Didn't really matter. Obviously, it mattered in draft stock and other things like that. But yeah, it was. Don't take anything from this game, and it's just an end to a disappointing season. That's all we can pretty much say.
That's all we've said basically every season, regular season finale since 1999, except for last season.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You know, I told you prior to this podcast before hopping on here, the only reason I watched the Browns game today was because we were doing this podcast. I had the Red Zone channel, so I really wanted to watch the Red Zone, especially the Colts and Jaguars debacle. And by the way, at least we're not Indianapolis fans. But besides that, yeah,
we're not.
It was a game that literally meant nothing. A lot of the starters were not playing, and what a way to end the season. I'm so glad the Browns won so they could have some momentum going into the offseason, right?
Yeah. This whole division kind of collapsed.
That's the problem though.
Except for the Bengals.
The AFC North collapsed this year. The Bengals took advantage of it. But the Steelers were supposed to have one of their worst seasons in years. They have one of the worst teams they've had in decades. And unless the Raiders and Chargers do not tie tonight, the Steelers are one of 7 playoff teams. Let that sink in. I know I tweeted out the Browns had Super Bowl aspirations. Cleveland was eliminated from postseason contention with 2 games left in the regular season. The Steelers were supposed to have one of their worst seasons in years, if not decades, and they're in the postseason.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like just. Yes, it sucks that the Browns didn't make the playoffs, but the fact that the Steelers are essentially in the playoffs makes it that much worse.
I don't know about a worse quarterback because our quarterback played terrible too, which just shows you.
But yeah, I don't know. It shows you how bad Baker was, and oh man, the fact that we can even have that argument about who was worse shows you how bad Baker was.
I know. I started that sentence and I was like, I don't know if he's better. Yeah, it was just look back. I think it was, I forget which game. The Browns were like a win away from being in first place. And I think Pittsburgh at that time was in last place. And look at them now. It was just like a complete just clunker to end the season. And it's kind of just summed up the whole season. All the expectations, everything just kind of went down the drain.
Only in Cleveland, right? Seriously.
Only Cleveland.
Only in Cleveland. The Browns, it was like midway through the season where I remember screenshots being taken that the Browns were in first and the Steelers were in last. Yeah. And yet here we are. It
was a preseason game.
It was.
I have to say this was the closest preseason game in a regular season game that I felt in a long time. There was nobody playing for the Bengals, and then the Browns, I don't know, they just kind of, I don't know what they're doing.
Dearness Johnson, once again, though, went out and proved that he's going to make a lot of money. Well, not a lot of money, but for a backup running back, and I'm trying to think of like if he could be a starting running back on some teams. Either way,
Oh, some teams,
he is
definitely.
going to make one heck of a paycheck this offseason, no
Yeah.
matter where he ends up.
Hopefully the Browns can get something out of him, like
And
compensation. He's
I
restricted,
wouldn't.
I know.
Yeah, he's restricted. I'm sure they're going to put a tender on him, so third or fourth round. I'm assuming. I don't know how those logistics work. So if someone else signs him, I think that's what they have to give up to sign him. Then, right? I don't know how.
No, I think restricted. That's exclusive rights. I think. I don't know. We'll see. But
either way,
either
Dearness
way,
Johnson went out and once again
Yeah.
proved that he is a very legitimate NFL running back.
Yes, yeah. It was a great performance, and he's really stepped up. Of the guys that like, a lot of people have not stepped up. He has been one of the guys that stepped up in situations where either Chubb was out or Chubb and Hunt, and it was a really impressive season. He's definitely got his money, earned his money this year.
All right, so we should really talk off season, especially because a lot of the comments coming in, few and far between, but still the comments are discussing the off season already, because that's basically the Browns Super Bowl. Browns Super Bowl has always been, for basically since 1999, the Browns Super Bowl has been the NFL draft, and the lead up to the Super Bowl has been the off season. I mean, it is what it is.
It's
So
back.
we're back.
We're back.
One thing I want to talk about this game, besides Donovan Peoples-Jones will be part of it. Special teams. The only reason I don't see Mike Prefer getting fired, even though he should be, is because he's boys with Kevin Stefanski. They worked with the Vikings in Minnesota for ever. I mean, Stefanski was there forever. I think Prefer was there since 2011 before he came to the Browns with Stefanski. Field goal kicker, Chase McLaughlin got worse throughout the year. Punter, we know what happened. It started in Kansas City with the Scottish Hammer dropping that punt, and then he got cut, and then Colquitt was bad. Punt return, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I don't even know what to say. Kick return, there was no kick return. So you literally can't say one positive word about any of the special teams units, which means that the special teams coach should be fired, correct?
Yeah. The big thing was like the team, like the actual teams. Obviously it's not all the, like, if you have a bad kicker, that can be on your personnel department for not getting a better kicker, but like just the units falling apart, like our hands team, oh my God, there's nobody better than Harrison Bryant catching the ball.
Honestly, the first thought that went through my head was, Harrison Bryant, you might be the MVP of the offseason if you cause this team
seriously
to lose.
I was like rooting.
I was like, what a smart way for the Browns. Like, act like you're going to win all games, so it's like you're tanking, and then lose like that, and then cause your special teams coach to be fired. It would have been a perfect avalanche to end the season.
Yeah, it was. That was. I just can't believe that he's their option. It just doesn't. Whatever. But yeah, it's definitely something to look on. If anybody gets if any position any coach gets changed this offseason, I would probably have to guess it would be him, and I don't see that happening. But it was not good. It was not good, to say the least.
It's like the Urban Meyer effect, where if you're boys, like if you're best friends, no matter how bad you are as an assistant coach, you're going to stick around.
He was the interim head coach too, so it's not like
I forgot about that. Now that you say that,
yeah, he's entrenched here, I think.
I forgot he was interim. Oh my gosh, what a disaster!
Who's worse though, him or what was the guy a few years ago? Oh God, I can't think of his name. The coach that he was here for,
special teams coach. I don't know. God. I mean, that could have been like 5 coaching regimes ago. If that was like 4 or 5 years ago, let's be honest. I hate being so negative about the Browns, but it's so hard to be positive at this point, especially because with, like Scott Cordick commented, the AFC North will have 2 playoff teams. Yes, they deserve 0, but that is once again shows you how embarrassing it is that the Browns were eliminated from postseason contention with 2 regular season games left. The AFC North has 2 of their 4 teams are in the playoffs. They deserve 0. Okay, they deserve 0. The Browns were eliminated from postseason contention with 15 games left in the 17-game regular season. It's just like another this is how embarrassing the season has been, at least to me.
Yeah, it's I know it's just the stuff around it has just made it even worse. It seems like the season has been bad overall, but just by themselves. But like just seeing the rest of the NFL, there's really no great team, and the Browns just kind of punted the season away. It's a frustrating. It's one of the most. It's probably the most frustrating season since '99, and that's saying something to say the least.
Yeah, I would agree because they had such high expectations. They had like
so
the sixth.
high.
They had like I know Vegas does the odds and it doesn't always mean everything, but they had like the 6th or 7th best odds to win the Super Bowl,
Yep.
and now they are closer to a top 10 pick than they were to making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating.
I think that's a perfect way to describe the season. It's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating.
Chris Tabor, I knew I remember.
Wow,
Special
that was a throwback. All right, so now we're on to the offseason, I guess. I promise you, we won't. Joe and I won't be doing weekly podcasts because that would just be too much Browns offseason talk. But we will be back on throughout the offseason at times.
Yes.
And this will be definitely a huge discussion point.
Number one.
Adam Cerny, Josh and Joe, what are the chances the Browns re-sign Baker Mayfield? This offseason?
Well, this offseason,
0.
Absolutely 0. -0. I don't know. Negative.
Joe
10.
definitely just said absolutely. I think he put absolutely and 0 in the same
absolutely. Yeah.
But this offseason, 0. Unless he takes like a 5-year, $5 million contract.
You signed a Chetty Osmond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but this Adam, this offseason is 0. Just with the way this season went. Even if he comes back and plays next year, it's on like a $18 million player. I can't even think of the word. They a team option. It's on like $18 million team option. So he will just be betting on himself per se.
Yeah. It sure looks like it's going to like a Kirk Cousins situation, which is very weird because they are very similar kind of quarterbacks. It's probably going to be like if they just franchise tag him if he plays well, or obviously if he's just gone. But yeah, there's no chance of him resigning. The real question is what are the chances he's on the team? He's actually
that brings us to our next question from the Chef Ed Hodler. Sign is, I would put this as sign or trade because I think they would have sign would be like
Jameis would be the
yes. I think if they sign a quarterback, Baker will still be around and it'll be a legit competition. If they trade for one, Baker's obviously they're not going to trade for like a backup quarterback. So if they trade for one, Baker's gone.
Yeah,
and then they have a starter. So sign, I would say. I don't.
By the way, we saw our swan song of Case Keenum.
Oh
2-0. Ends his career as 2-0, man. What a perfect career, man. He is 2-0, man.
I always tell my buddies the best. Did we lose Joe?
No, I'm here.
Joe. Okay. Did you hear what I said?
No, yours went out for me. So
I said the best job in the NFL. Mm-hmm. No, the best job in professional sports is to prove yourself as a legitimate, good backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel, I looked it up. He's made like $45 million. And he started like 5 games in his career.
He's the backup king, man. I don't think he's never even Case Keenum started and was beginning of the season he was expecting me to start. I don't think Chase has even done that. He just continually gets jobs.
I'm telling you, but he's proven that he's not a head case.
Yeah,
he does what he has to do. Yeah, like I said, I will argue with anyone that the best job of professional sports is the backup quarterback in the NFL because you stay healthy, you can still get to travel with the team.
Yeah,
you basically just hope and pray that the starter doesn't get hurt, and you're making millions and you don't get hurt. It's not and I know in the NFL it's a very dangerous job, but if you're sitting on the sidelines, it's not that dangerous. At times, maybe it is, but
Gotta get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so but back to Ed's question. I would say that they are more likely to trade for a quarterback than sign
Yes.
one. I know we've had this discussion behind the scenes are waiting for next year on the Discord channel. I would be all for them. Okay, the big three: Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Who am I missing?
Deshaun
Oh,
Watson.
Deshaun Watson. All right. I think I'm out on Deshaun Watson just because of all the off the field
Unless
stuff.
he's like totally cleared, which I
He won't be.
highly doubt.
Yeah, he won't be. I think I'm out on Deshaun Watson just because of all the off field stuff. I just don't want to have to deal with any of that. I'm all for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers for obvious reasons. One's going to be the MVP. One of them has consistently been a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for years. Yeah. So, but I don't think either of them want to come here. And I think they both had no trade clauses. And two, it might take too much to get them. But I mean, if one of them wants to come here, trade like 10 first-round picks for them, right. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But so if the Browns are out on the big three, I think my tier list would be Derek Carr from the Raiders, Kirk Cousins, I guess, from the Vikings.
He's below. He's not on the same tier.
And Jimmy Garoppolo. That would be like my major want. Okay, I guess.
Yeah. I would say Carr would be like right behind. I have those top three, and then I have Carr would be like right slightly under them, and then behind them is Cousins. If Philadelphia moves on from Hurts, I think Hurts would be a really good quarterback in Stefanski's offense. I would really love to see an actual mobile quarterback, not a quarterback that thinks they're mobile. In Stefanski's offense, that would be
you out here just subtweeting Baker Mayfield on live
and Case Keenum. Case Keenum today thought he was.
Jake Burns, our own from a former Waiting for Next Year writer, and now Browns X's and O's, and his full-time job is now covering the Browns. He knows everything that you could literally imagine about the Browns. Jake Burns knows it. His tweet made me laugh today. It was like, oh, there was something about we don't normally have one quarterback that thinks he's athletic, because now literally Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum both do, and it just leads to sacks and more sacks.
Yeah. It's so he would be an interesting option. Tua would probably be on the Kirk Cousins level, below Kirk Cousins. I would say below it. And Kirk Cousins is just like getting the same guy. You might as well just keep Baker.
He's literally
just like the fancier version of Baker.
It's not even fancier, just like the more not overpaid. Although Kirk is overpaid, it's like the higher paid Baker Mayfield.
That's the quieter. He's the quieter version.
Wait. What did he say that post game press conference years ago?
Can't wait.
Oh, you like that? That's what it was. Yes, you like that.
He's the less social media version of Baker Mayfield, but
of Mr. Clickbait. All right, continue.
Mr. Clickbait, yeah. And I see Ed Hogler said Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is completely out because his contract is like untradeable, uncuttable. So I don't see that happening. And I think I heard a report today that their coach wants him back. So I don't think that's a possibility. I can't really think of anybody else.
We know how these reports work. We know how these reports work. So.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that today.
We will talk about that.
But yeah, getting back, I can't really. Obviously, that's another thing I keep saying. We don't know what can happen this offseason. Someone might get unhappy. Who saw last year that Stafford would be traded? Russell Wilson would get mad, and Aaron Rodgers would get mad and kind of force their way out the next offseason. So anything can happen. But yeah, it's they need to heavily try to upgrade this. That's number one priority this offseason.
Yes. All right. So which brings us, I guess, to Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, one of the most well-known NFL analysts I would say NFL analyst in the NFL. One of the most well-known analysts in the NFL came out with a story today that said Andrew Berry, but I'm not going to exact quote it. I guess I could. But basically that Baker Mayfield will be back next year, and they're going to move forward with him. First off, what else is Andrew Berry supposed to say?
I hate him, and he's gonna. We're never going to go back.
That's like the player that says, "Oh yeah, I love it in Cleveland. I can't wait to be back." What else is he supposed to do? No, I hate it in Cleveland. I can't wait to sign elsewhere.
Right. Like I want to hurt my market, so let's just burn it all up.
So for Andrew Berry, and I'm hoping to write about this tonight. I don't know if I will because I hate writing Browns right now. But yeah. One, what else is he supposed to say? Two, he is a very, very, very smart man. He knows exactly what he's saying. I like him saying that they're prepared to move forward with Baker Mayfield. It's one, giving him like an out if they do, and two,
it's coach speak, man.
Yeah, it's coach speak, but as a general manager,
right?
Because now it doesn't look like if you would have said, "Yeah, we need to trade Baker Mayfield," they're in a bad spot with any team that they're trying to trade with. The opposing team will just be like, "Hey, you guys literally have to trade him, so we're not going to give you much for him." So it's
just go back. Everybody needs to go back in that article and just count how many times it says currently and right now.
That too.
Like there's like 5 to 10 of them in there. So that report did nothing to change.
Oh, and by the way, his exact then, because I just brought the article. Brought up the article. The Browns will head into the offseason with plans to retain Baker Mayfield as their quarterback for 2022. Plans, one. And two, go back and just do research. Every veteran quarterback that has been traded recently, I bet you at least 50% of them, the GM or someone in the organization has said that exact same thing. I'm sure the Rams said it about Jared Goff.
I remember they did.
Yeah.
And the most famous one was
Josh.
Speak. The most famous
Josh
one was
Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Right before they drafted.
Right before they not only traded for, they didn't trade for a guy, they drafted a guy with the number 1 overall pick. Wait, he was number 1 overall pick, right?
Yeah. That's when they knew they were going to do it.
Yeah. So like, coach speak, it literally means I'll be the first one to break it to you. Coach speak means nothing.
Yeah.
GM speak, whatever you want to call it, it means nothing.
And it's what we've been saying for weeks. They're not going to just cut them or trade them just to trade them and cut them. Like if they can't find a better option, they're going to roll with them. It's not that confusing. I don't know why people have just kind of construed Mary Kay Cabot's report that it's like over. They're just going to release them. No, that like if there's no better option, you go with Baker and you kind of hope that he gets better and returns to 2020 form. It's not a hard decision. Good organizations know how to keep their leverage, and guess what? They just did that in that article.
Yes, So and I literally just laughed at. Oh man, looks like Baker's back. What are you talking about?
I know. I woke up this morning and was like, what?
That's how I wake up every Browns NFL Sunday, to be honest.
It was also we were talking about this beforehand. It's also telling on yourself if you think that was a definitive statement. You're telling on yourself that you have a bias, a very big bias of what your hope was for this team. So just
sports would be so much more fun if GMs and coaches didn't do GM speak and coach speak and just let out the truth. Like, what if Andrew Berry was like, yeah, screw this guy. We're trading on this offseason.
Without anybody.
Imagine, like, you're not allowed to lie.
Who's quarterback next year? I don't know. We'll
exactly.
See.
And then, speaking of, Kevin Stefanski, speaking of coach speak, was asked in his post-game press conference about his exit interview with Baker Mayfield. And his response to will Baker Mayfield be the starter next in 2022 was no comment. All right. One, please don't take that too far. Two, anything in the private discussion, Kevin Stefanski is great at being coach speak. Yeah. And anything in a private discussion, he keeps it private and always answers no comment.
Yeah, he's the reincarnation of
So
Bill
please,
Belichick in press conferences, but a nicer version. He
yeah,
doesn't say anything.
and dresses much nicer.
Yes, that's true.
But please don't take that too far. I know there's gonna be one article out there somewhere, probably PFT, that will say, "Oh man, Kevin Stefanski on Baker Mayfield's future, no comment." Like, come on, please don't do that.
Please don't. But yeah, it should be an interesting offseason. That's all I have to say. I just putting the odds on. I wouldn't even know where to start. I feel like you can't even put any odds on until you see what actually transpires in the rest of the league. It kind of pays itself on that.
My dream scenario here: Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders, just to see Michigan fans. Although that would suck because I hate Jim Harbaugh, and he only has beaten Ohio State once in like 8 years. So I don't really want him to leave Michigan. But if he does, it would be hysterical because Michigan fans will be so angry, especially with the way this year ended. Jim Harbaugh to the Raiders. Jim Harbaugh.
Raiders.
Oh God.
Bring
That's
combo
true.
back.
That would be a reunion. I forgot about that.
Bring that combo back.
Harbaugh doesn't want Derek Carr, so the Raiders trade him to the Browns. I am very much on the Derek Carr trade. I will be like the lead conductor for this offseason if we want.
Everybody needs to keep an eye on the Raiders. They obviously are run by crazy people, but you definitely need to watch. That's the team to watch. They could be in the market for Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson if they want to. So if you want a team to watch, that's the team to watch there.
And another watch is that the Steelers, who are a playoff team, Steelers, will also be in the running for a quarterback. And let's be honest, if a quarterback had their way and had to decide between the Steelers and Browns, they're going to beat the Steelers.
They have a perfectly good quarterback, Mason Rudolph, man.
All right, I guess we're moving on with that conversation.
Mason Rudolph. I think Myles Garrett will be fully on board with that move.
I don't even. I actually know someone that is now friends with Mason Rudolph's brother. He lives in LA, and even his brother calls him not a nice guy. But that's I won't say the exact words, but even his brother doesn't really have kind words to say about Mason Rudolph. Good sign for sure. And before we move on from Derek Carr, has never thrown below 62.7%. Or no, okay. I guess in 2015 he threw 61.1% completion percentage. 2017 62.7%, but over the last 4 years he's averaging about 68% completion percentage. And this year he had 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, which is a lot. That's a bad year for him, 14 interceptions. But Baker Mayfield, I think, has never. I'd have to look up the stats. I'm looking it up right now. Sorry for the delay. I don't think Baker has ever thrown over 65%, and that's basically what Derek Carr is averaging over the last 4 or 5 years. So even taking nothing else into account. Okay, no, Baker Mayfield in 4 years, 61.6% completion percentage. His average in 4 years is Derek Carr's lowest in his career. So taking nothing else into account, he is a much more accurate quarterback, which will go so far with a team that just needs accuracy.
Yeah.
Honestly. You just need to be accurate. Yes, wide receivers need to improve. That'll happen this offseason, whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency, or both. But yeah, I just want an accurate quarterback. I hate, we saw how many times this year did Baker Mayfield throw an interception where it's a wide open receiver and it was overthrown?
I don't want to count. I don't want to count how many times. Let's just say too many. Derek Carr would be right up there. He's the fourth option, and it's not far behind. He would. And just in terms of people were talking about, Baker's such a good leader, and people like him on the team. Well, go ahead and take a look at Derek Carr. His team loves him, and he's a great leader. So that'll be a really good fit too. What's this say?
For those tuning in live, you can read the comment. For those listening to our podcast after the fact, I'll read it to you. Glenn Yowler Jr. on Facebook Let's say we keep Baker. When are the Browns going to bring someone in who can actually fix his mechanics, can teach heart or speed? And I'm assuming he meant and or speed. Baker is a warrior who needs the right quarterback coach. Stefanski knows this. Why isn't the fix already in place? Let's end the media drama. Unfortunately, I think it was 2 years ago.
They fixed his feet last year.
Well, yeah, they fixed his feet, one, but old habits came back this year. Two, I think someone asked Baker about offseason quarterbacks coach, and he said, I know what I have to fix. I don't need not exact quote, but he said something like, I know what I have to fix myself. I don't need a quarterback coach to tell me that.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, at some point, like, we're in year, 5? Or we're going to go into year 5. Some point, we got to start blaming the quarterback. Like, at some point, like, we keep making excuses for this guy. Like, at some point, you need to fix your problems of field vision. You need to fix your feet.
You're telling me that poems telling us how great of a guy Baker Mayfield is aren't the answer?
No. But it's just, we keep blaming the like. At some point, there's a line here, and you got to figure it out. Okay, this guy is not getting it fixed, and if they don't want to listen, I don't know what else you need. Like, what are you gonna do? At this point, they all know what the problem is. Coaches know. Baker probably knows. It's up to him to actually fix it. Like, there's no like special guru that will fix it. It's him. He's got to get it in his mind that he'll improve on this. I'm done. I'm just done kind of putting the blame on other people.
And now
it's
Baker,
been 5 years, man.
Now, if he gets a quarterback coach, then he's basically admitting that he hasn't been doing it right for the past 3 off seasons,
right?
Which gives him a bad look. So either way, he's in the wrong here, and his ego, I think, I don't know. It'll be this offseason is very interesting because he also,
if he wants to save his career,
if he wants to save his career. 2, he lost millions of dollars this season by playing because in the contract extension, it's going to be way less than if he would have signed one last year. But if he wants to earn back some of those millions, go get better this offseason, which means bring in a quarterback coach that will help you improve. No matter how big your ego is, a coach will always help. No matter, okay, a good coach will always help. Right, so, like, if you want to go back and win and get millions back, besides Hugh Jackson, I guess. Just go hire a or even if it's a private quarterback coach that has nothing to do with the Browns.
Right.
Just do it.
Tom Brady has worked with the same guy since I think it was high school or something.
Wow, Joe Gilbert comparing Baker Mayfield to Tom Brady. Wow.
If only. But yeah, it's like you find the guy that you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be anybody with the Browns. A lot of the top throwers don't have, like, they don't use the guys that are at their own teams. They have their own guys, and it's just someone that you're comfortable with and that you can trust. And it's on him, man, to fix this, because I don't know what else. Like, it's like we keep saying the same thing over and over again, but like, it's on him to fix this. Yes, there was major problems on the roster this year. Receivers were a nightmare. The run game kind of faltered, kind of because of the passing game, but that's neither here nor there. But it's just. But the biggest thing was just Baker just not playing well, and some people can blame it on injuries. I'm not going to blame it fully on injuries. I think a lot of the stuff was not injury, due to injuries, but we'll see. He can shut up all the doubters next year.
Oh God, I can't wait for Baker to say that. Now since he just had such a bad season, now he has a chip on his shoulder. Now he has to shut up all of his doubters.
Can't wait for the Instagram post.
Run that back. All right. So before, I know you were just talking about receivers and how poor they were this year. Well, not poor, but how bad they were this year because they were obviously making millions. But Jarvis Landry, I think that's the biggest question mark in the receiver room. Obviously, it needs to be improved. I think he's owed $15 million next year or
15 or 16, something like that.
And I know prior to the season, we literally, everyone, Browns fans, analysts, whatever, said no matter what, this is the last season for OBJ or Jarvis. No matter what, just because of their cap situations.
Who saw it coming that they both could be gone?
Yeah. So now we're entering this offseason. OBJ is obviously already gone.
Mm-hmm.
Jarvis, I would love to have him back, but
Something's got to happen. Yeah,
not for $15 million.
Right.
And I don't know if he takes a pay cut, because if he takes a pay cut and comes back to the Browns, he's a veteran. He might go ring chasing. Why not take a little bit more of a pay cut and go to like a surefire? Like if Tom Brady comes back to the Buccaneers, he would. I don't know. I would even. This just pops in my head right now. He would be a perfect slot receiver for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, he probably would.
He really would. Gronk, Chris Godwin.
They're on the market for one right now.
Yeah, because that entire Antonio Brown debacle last week. But he would literally be a perfect slot receiver for a team like the Buccaneers. So, like, as a Browns fan, you're like, oh, yeah, he would take a pay cut and come back. He loves Cleveland. Hey, by the way, what else is he supposed to say? Hey, I hate Cleveland. I hate living in Cleveland. I just play for the Browns.
Yeah, I would put the percentage of him being back as like probably 40%, 30%.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, I just it just seems they obviously have to do something with his contract, and it's pretty much going to be up to Jarvis if he wants to stay, if he wants to actually renegotiate, or if he's just cut. So it's pretty much in his court to see if he comes back next year.
Yeah, I completely, like I said, I'd love to have him back, but at a much lesser cap hit.
Yeah, we're going to see a whole different offense next year. I'm predicting
the wide receiver room,
much
besides Donovan Peoples-Jones, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, even Anthony Schwartz, 3rd-round pick.
He'll be back.
He'll be back, but what a disappointment. I know he had a good week 1, but it only went downhill.
It really went downhill. Yeah.
And then today, a wide open pass for a first down, and he drops it. It's just like, besides Donovan Peoples-Jones, and even he had a bad game today and a bad season per se, but he was also thrown into the fire. He shouldn't have been the second best wide receiver on the team this in year 2. He had a sophomore slump, but like, it's crazy how literally no one in the wide receiver room right now. I'm like, oh heck yeah, I'm so glad they're coming back next year.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see actually him and then Demetric Felton. I want to see how they kind of develop this offseason. They're both kind of very raw at the position, especially Felton because he hasn't played his whole career there. So it'll be interesting to see if because their skill set is so it's enticing. Like Felton is so shifty, and then obviously Schwartz can just run past anybody. So it'll be interesting to see them develop. But the biggest it's going to be they're going to get a top 1 and 2 receivers because they don't have any right now. I think the first round pick, if it's not traded for a quarterback, I think it's definitely going to be a receiver. Hopefully that one that it's named Garrett would be a real nice one. Yeah.
Speaking of the draft, Joe and I will definitely be on here multiple times prior to April. I promise you, to talk draft. I know Joe does a bunch of draft work as it is. I do the mock draft roundups for the site, but we'll be on here as well, podcasting about it. I think the number one thing this offseason, obviously, quarterback. It's the most important position in sports. 2, I think it might be to bring back Jadeveon Clowney, especially with Tack McKinley potentially out for all of next season as well, because he tore his Achilles last game 2 games ago. Him and Myles Garrett are perfect, literally perfect. I mean, obviously you could say like, yeah, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett would be perfect, but in realistic scenarios, Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are perfect to have side by side. I just don't know how much money I'd pay him, and I don't know what kind of contract he'd get elsewhere. But I think it would be in the Browns' best interest, and I think Andrew Berry knows this, I'm sure, to bring back Jadeveon. Yeah,
the defense is pretty set, but I think the most work will be on the defensive line. Obviously, they got to figure out who's going to be lining up opposite of Garrett. And Jadeveon is, I would highly go after him and try to get a long-term extension. He showed this year he has a lot left of the tank. He is a perfect complement to Myles, and I think they'll heavily go after him, and then interior defensive line needs a lot of help too. So, luckily though, the Browns back half of the defense is looking really good.
That's what I was
looking
just gonna say.
really good.
It is looking, if you're young, good.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Denzel Ward.
Yeah, that's
sign
the
him to an
only
extension.
thing. That's the
Sign him
only
to an
thing they'll
extension
have to
this offseason.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all right, so speaking of the back half, you can say that Andrew Berry and company, their draft picks of Demetric Felton and Anthony Schwartz, especially where they were not right now after year one with them, probably busts. Let's say.
Look at those.
It's only year one, so I'm not going to say it. But defensively, those first two, Greg Newsome the third, and JOK, and then you have Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit.
Building blocks, man.
Yeah, exactly. And those two building blocks, and then the other guys I mentioned, like that is a very young secondary and a very, very good secondary. And they're a huge reason why the Browns finished 8-9. Let's be honest. The Browns should not have been in many of the games that they were in later in the season.
Right. Like the Browns, like we went into last offseason. How many building blocks did we have on defense? We had 1.5 because
Miles Garrett.
We were kind of like is Denzel able to stay healthy? He did this offseason or this season, so it's obviously 2 there. But now what do they got? They got Delpit, who looks like a really freaking good safety back there. They have Newsome, who looks like a great number 2. JOK, who's going to be a playmaker at linebacker. John Johnson, who's really kind of turned it on in the later half of the season. This defense has really been transformed over one off season.
Hopefully we can say, and that's hopefully we can say that exact same thing.
I was just going to say
this time next year about the offense.
Right.
Andrew Berry had one thing to do last offseason, which was fix the defense. Now this offseason, he has one thing to do: fix the offense.
Yep.
And luckily, I have full faith in Andrew Berry. I know some people might question him.
I do too.
But he hasn't really done anything wrong yet. I mean, we are literally complaining about a Brown season where they just went 8-9. It's simply because if the Browns had low expectations, we would be celebrating this. It's because they had Super Bowl aspirations.
Yeah.
But imagine 10 years ago being mad about a Browns team that just went 8-9.
Right. So his first 2 seasons as GM, he's what? Where were they last year? 10. What was their record last year?
10-6? Maybe I don't know. So. I honestly don't know.
But so 18 wins. How many years would Hugh Jackson take?
18.
Probably. Yeah, he was on pace for that, I think. Yeah, so it's that's the really kind of comforting thing. Like there's a lot of stuff they got to do this offseason, but I'm really happy that Andrew Berry is running it. Like how many times have we said that in the last 30 years? And we have not. I can tell you that.
True. That is very true.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's the saving grace there.
I know as Browns fans, we can always say we are very excited about this offseason, but honestly, I'm very excited about this offseason. One, because the Browns were 8-9. They were a huge disappointment this year, but they're so close.
Yeah.
I mean, get better quarterback play, get better receivers, get a better defensive line, or at least better depth at defensive line, and boom, you are right there for the AFC North and AFC title. I mean, week 1, we saw it. They should have beaten Kansas City, who will most likely be the second seed in the AFC, and they had bad quarterback play in week 1 too. I mean, the Browns that's what excites me the most about this Browns team is that they are so close. And they just need a couple more pieces or a few more pieces, and they're right there for it. Yeah,
it's gonna be a very exciting offseason, I think. There's so many ways they can go, especially in the trade market, just in free agency. It's going to be an active offseason for Andrew Berry. The Browns are going to be in a lot of headlines this offseason.
Hopefully good ones.
Yes. But it's going to be interesting to see how it falls out. We probably come next season, we're going to maybe have a new quarterback, 2 probably new starting receivers, possibly a new tight end, maybe some changes on the offensive line if they want to cut some costs there. It's gonna be a kind of definitely the passing game at least will be just completely transformed. Hopefully, so we'll see.
And a good thing too is that they have a bunch of cap space, especially now that they didn't sign Baker to an extension or anything like that. They have a bunch of cap space. So yeah, hopefully Andrew Berry does all the right moves. I mean, even if he hits on like last offseason, I'd say that he hit on like of the guys he brought in, he probably hit on like 75%. Just do 75% again, and this team is absolutely, I'll guarantee you right now, this team's a playoff team.
Yeah, definitely. They were what, 2 games out of, I don't know what it ended, but like probably 1.5 games out of a playoff
But I wouldn't
spot.
really count today though, because if Cincinnati was still in it.
True.
And that's the thing too. The Browns just finished 8-9, third place in the division, which means they're getting that third place schedule. Which I mean, yes, it would have been nice to have the fourth place schedule and the higher draft pick. It's not that big of a deal. Just about win freaking football games. I don't care who it's against.
It would have been a difference if you were like second place. But
yeah, it's crazy that the Browns just swept the Bengals, even if it was against their practice squad. Well, not practice squad. A bunch of the backups today. The Bengals not only won the division, but they swept the Ravens and Steelers, and the Browns swept them. And yet the Browns are 8-9.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's I still can't believe we got swept by Pittsburgh, but I don't want to go into that.
Playoff team, the playoff team, Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way,
hey, not yet. Let's go tie.
Speaking of Sunday Night Football, if the Chargers are due to I forget what happened today, but the Chargers are already in the playoffs. The Raiders are in the playoffs if they win or tie. There was a thing where if they tie, both teams are whatever it was. So if Sunday Night Football, if both teams just kneel the ball the entire game, they're both in the playoffs. Why not? If you're the Raiders, just offer the Chargers like $1 million,
right?
And just have a Sunday. I mean, yes, would it be boring? Absolutely. But imagine the headlines. Imagine the headline. Like, there's literally going to be people that tune in tonight just to see what they do and if they tie.
I know. Yeah.
That would literally be the most talked about game of the season.
I will be forever fans of those two teams if they
exactly. Imagine like the amount of like fans they would get. Imagine that it would literally be they'd make NFL history. It would be the most talked about thing of the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kneel the ball. I mean, the only people that would be mad would be the people in attendance, but who cares? Go out and drink more beer.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be awesome.
It would be so awesome if they literally just kneeled it. I don't know how many kneels that would be. Whatever 40 seconds divided by 60 minutes is, or a little less than that, because the kneel down would take like 2 or 3 seconds. But please,
would you
just kneel the ball?
Would you punt?
No, if you can guarantee that's the thing though. One team can do like a fake kneel down and pass it for a touchdown, and it ruins the entire thing.
Intrigue right there.
And knowing the Raiders, they would absolutely be the team that does that.
They would be. No, they would be the team that tried to do that, and then they fumbled and turned it, and it goes all the way back to the
No, it would be like the last kneel down. It's 4th down, 20 seconds left. Due to kneel downs, the Raiders have the ball at like their own 10-yard line. They go to punt it just to be safe. The punt goes, the long snapper snaps it over the punter's head, safety, 2-0, end of game. That'd be the most Browns ending ever, honestly.
It would be. Yeah.
So yeah, the Steelers, like we said, the Steelers are in the postseason unless the Raiders. If the Raiders beat the Chargers tonight in Las Vegas, the Raiders are in ahead. I think
it's tied.
I think it's a tie. The only way the Steelers are not in the playoffs is if the Raiders and Chargers tie.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Big Ben going all this time, hours, thinking that his career is still going, and the team's tie and his career is over.
That would be very fitting. At least for yeah. Oh, did you like that segment in the Browns game that they featured Big Ben? That was so fun.
I feel like the CBS was he on CBS or Fox today?
Fox.
They love doing that. Either way, both of them, they love doing that.
Like,
and I saw a tweet. Someone tweeted about how during the Pittsburgh game they said how Big Ben's a great person off the field.
Oh yeah.
Just someone want to like had that conversation. I'm not going to have it on this podcast,
No,
but I think there's a conversation to have about how great of a man Big Ben is off the field.
I always say just go Google. Just go Google
Google
it.
Google it.
Google
Maybe
it.
back to like his Miami of Ohio days. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's a good time frame. Google that. Oh my God.
But here we are. We said we wouldn't be on this podcast, just like
Yeah.
we've said the last 10 weeks of the season. 50 minutes in, the Browns just lost. Or the Brown. Wow, that was like
Browns
muscle
won.
memory. That was muscle memory. I'm sorry. That was muscle memory kicking in. I wasn't thinking, it was just muscle memory. The Browns just beat the Bengals to sweep them, even if it was the JV game of the NFL weekend. Browns finish 8-9.
I'll give you a draft position update. They're 13th right now, and both Miami and New Orleans are winning right now. So they'll
Scoreboard.
If those two win out, then we're 13th.
Yeah, I was saying, I know we, like most NFL teams, competent NFL teams, usually scoreboard watch this late in the season, like see what playoff seed they'd have.
We did 3 weeks ago.
The Browns, we scoreboard watch to see what draft pick we'd have. So we are at 13. Browns fans, if you're tuning in right now, few and far between, I'm sure. You are rooting for the Saints and Dolphins to win. If the Saints and Dolphins win, 13th pick secured. If one of them lose, it goes into tiebreakers, and I don't know the tiebreaker.
I think they move down if either of them.
All right, so go Saints, go Dolphins, always. Yeah. But yeah, thanks. I guess thanks for tuning in all season. I can't believe we did this for 17 games.
Yeah,
I wish it was more than 17 games, but here we are.
Oh.
This, like I said earlier in the podcast, it's not a goodbye. It's I'll see you later. No, but
oh my
God. No, it won't not be a weekly podcast. I'll promise you that. But we'll be with you throughout I'm so glad I just made Joe laugh that hard. We'll be with you throughout the offseason to talk a trade, a signing, potential trades, potential signings, NFL draft. We can literally talk
any big news.
Yeah. And NFL draft, it can literally be a daily discussion, and we'd still get viewers and clicks and downloads. So, anything and everything Browns offseason will be here. It won't be weekly, like I said, but it'll be hopefully every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, thanks for joining us for 17 games. Thanks for always, whether you tune in live and leave comments or just tune in and listen to us and see our ugly faces. Sorry, Joe. I just had to throw you in with me.
Wow.
Whether you tune in live, listen to our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Oh, wait. How does this go back? Joe Gilbert. Hold on. What are we thinking? This was a few weeks ago. For those tuning in live, Joe Gilbert Sr.
That tips email.
Be sure to thank Chris Paul's mom. I remember thanking Chris Paul. What was the?
It was the
make sure you're vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
All right.
She sent us a video.
That's true. All right. So
that's true. Thank you,
all of our listeners, both live and in podcast form, wherever you listen to your podcast, we appreciate it. A special thank you to Chris Paul's mother. Yes. Thanks for sending us an email and making sure we're vaccinated. I'm glad you're thinking about us and keeping us safe always. Yeah. And yeah, we'll be back with you at times throughout the off season. Make sure you follow Waiting for Next Year on Facebook and Twitter. That's where our feeds will be. I think they come up on YouTube too, but I don't know if they give you like a notification. I know Facebook gives you.
Facebook does
because we schedule it. So like if you follow us on Facebook, it'll say like Josh and Joe will podcast in 45 minutes or an hour or whatever. Mm-hmm. So just follow our page on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. We'll be with you this offseason. And as always, go Cavs.
Go Cavs. Hey, big game tonight.